Sorry this is getting to you late. I had to wake up early to film stuff. So I never really had a chance to watch and get this episode edited before I had to do that. So I'm finally back. I can finally talk about She-Hulk episode 5. Let's actually start with the negatives of this episode, because there's a few things I want to talk about. There's only a few negatives, but they're kind of big things. First off, this episode was too damn short. It felt like it ended immediately after it started, right as I was getting sucked into the characters and the storylines they have in this episode. Now, granted, it ended on a really cool note that got me hyped for episode 6. And, you know, if you've been following my channel for more than like a day, you'll know what it was. It was just way too short. This is actually an issue I've had with several of the She-Hulk episodes. Episode 2 did this also, where it ended immediately after it began. I don't understand the need to make short episodes of TV on a streaming show. There's no time mandate that you have to hit to please advertisers. You can make it as long as you want. Second, we're halfway through the show and I still have no clue what exactly the main conflict is here. Now, I'm all for having each week sort of be an anthology of a different fun adventure She-Hulk has to go on. The issue is the ending of episode 3 set up that there's something else at play. There's a bigger person behind this all. So there's a big storyline here, and we have 4 episodes left and have not gotten anything beyond just someone saying the guy in charge or whatever they said. There's a big storyline going on, but for some reason, they won't touch on it. Lastly, the legal scenes, not exciting. This episode gets a slight pass because the context behind the legal scene is dumb. The show knows that. That's the point of what's going on. And so the not very well-written legal scene makes more sense. But the legal scenes in this show, just not exciting. And I know I've said this every week, but Marvel, why didn't you hire writers who actually know how to write this stuff? Now, okay, so those are the 3 things I really disliked about this episode. I thought we were finally going somewhere, and it didn't really seem like we were. But now on to what I liked about this one. She-Hulk has a really well-done arc in this episode, in my opinion. It's not some big life-changing thing that changes the trajectory of the character forever that's mind-blowing. No. But it's good. I really like it, and I'll dive in more in spoilers on what exactly the arc is and why it was so compelling. And I think it was a good idea to tell this sort of big milestone in Jennifer Walters' life in the context of a very stupid legal battle. As we saw in the previous episode, Titania trademarked the name She-Hulk and is now suing Jennifer Walters for it. And so instead of telling this storyline through a character like Hulk, Abomination, Wong, or even Daredevil, they tell it through a annoying, superpowered influencer. And it works better than you would think it should. And Jamila Jamil, back as Titania, finally, after all these episodes, very important She-Hulk character, just finally pops back up. And you can tell she has so much fun playing this character that it really redeems the character. Also, her social media is amazing because she posts stuff as Titania. She's loving this character, and I'm all for it. Now, this episode introduces a guy I absolutely adored. I'm going to try to keep it as vague as possible in case you have not yet seen the episode, but basically, She-Hulk needs a new suit for something, and this guy claims to know how to make a suit that would be able to stretch with her and shrink so she can wear a suit that's her size all the time. And this guy's just the MCU's response to Edna Mode. I really hope he comes back just in everything. Just have every superhero have to stop by his shop and just make it throughout the MCU. His like workshop gets bigger and bigger until he's like a huge name in fashion because all the superheroes come to him. And while they did introduce a great new character, the existing side characters really got a lot of play in this episode. Pretty much everyone came back. We see some of the people that She-Hulk dated come back, and they have a little storyline. She even gets closure with one of them, which is great. Nikki and Pug come back. 2 characters I thought were going to annoy me, but they really haven't. I've actually started to like them more, and they go on a side quest in this that is legitimately hilarious. There's a laugh out loud moment I had, and I am adoring these 2. Give me more Nikki and Pug. And lastly, I touched on it earlier, but this episode, it sets up something that I think is going to be amazing. A little tease they put in there at the end. And yeah, I really hope though with this storyline that they're introducing here, that they don't just kind of move on from it and come back in a few episodes. I hope they just directly continue it and let us see how that storyline is going to play out next episode. Because the way they teased it, there's no way it can't be next time. Alright, that's all I had to talk about, non-spoilers. So I'm going to get into spoilers. If you have not seen it, please go watch it. I don't want to spoil anything for you, especially the ending. So just watch it, come back, and then watch this. Look, here's the deal. You guys know what you want me to talk about. I know what I want to talk about. So let's just skip the bullshit and just get straight to the fact that Daredevil's mask is in this, alright? The MCU's version of Edna Mode, at the very end, he picks up a basket that has a thing in it, he puts it down, zooms in, it's the new Daredevil mask. It's Daredevil's new mask, it's yellow, it's fresh, and actually if you look on the rack right next to it, there's the rest of his suit sitting on the rack, and then he puts the thing on that says for pickup, and Matt Murdock's coming in to get it, which I would assume is why he's in LA instead of Hell's Kitchen, is because his previous costume designer was put in prison. So now he has to get this guy, who's really good at making shit. If Daredevil's not in the next episode, I will riot. What was the point of this very exciting setup if he's not in the next episode? So I feel he'll be there. He might even be in episode 7, I'm not sure. But with how important he seemed in that mid-season trailer they released, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in multiple episodes of this show. And with the way Jennifer's arc went in this episode, which I'll talk about in a minute, it would only make sense for Daredevil to now enter the fray, now that she's kind of figured out, or now that she's kind of embraced the She-Hulk part of herself. Now we bring in Daredevil to talk about how to balance the two and what Jennifer does versus what She-Hulk does, as we saw in that trailer. It's the perfect time to bring in someone to mentor her now that she's come to terms, you could say, with this identity. So with all that said, let's talk about She-Hulk's arc, which aside from that tease, I think was easily the best part of this episode. It's a lot of very well done character work told entirely through subtlety, because the arc's not at the forefront at all. It's very much hidden in the background. The more you think about the episode, the more you pick up on this arc they're telling her. The episode even touches on it, but from the very beginning, she has disowned the name She-Hulk. She's denounced it. She's like, I don't want to be that. I would rather just be Jennifer Walters. She-Hulk is not someone I want to be, even though she's stuck as this person now and forced to be this person. And this whole episode is then about the fact that she embraces She-Hulk to win her case. She accepts that that's who she is. She's like, oh yeah, I made a dating profile as this person. I'm being called this person. I guess I am She-Hulk. And it's hard, it's easy to miss, and I would understand if you did, but that's the whole thing, is at the end of this episode, what is it that defeats Titania in court? It's She-Hulk, not Jennifer. And so now the next step is to discover She-Hulk's importance. And that's where Daredevil comes in. I'm so glad they put him in this show, not just because I love him, but because from a narrative sense, he's the perfect hero to help coach her through the next step of this. And I mentioned it non-spoilers, but you know what else I love about this episode is Pug and Nikki. Every word these two say to each other is gold, and this subplot actually had my favorite joke so far in the series, because there's such a great build-up to it of them going to that place, and it's all mysterious, and the guy's like, please come to the back, and they come to the back, and there's a cabinet that you think is gonna have something important, and it's just bootleg Avengers stuff. Sorry, Avengers stuff. And then they buy it all. Which is what anyone would do in that situation. Yeah, this episode was short, and the plot was super simple, that there really wasn't much to talk about besides Daredevil. So that's really gonna be it for this review, but this episode took me back to what I was liking about She-Hulk originally. I know there's a lot of people who aren't loving this episode, but this gave me more of the feel of the first 2 episodes. It had more of that kind of heart and soul to it, I feel, even though the plotline was so simple and didn't even have a guest star. 3 and 4 really started to falter for me, but this one was what I was missing. This was a kind of a return to form for the show. I liked the first episode. I really liked the second episode. 3, 4 faltered. This one, we're back at it, and I hope they can maintain this sort of consistency because I think we'd end with a pretty satisfying show on our hands. And I really hope that it gets even better when they bring in the devil of Hell's Kitchen. But there you guys go. That's my review of She-Hulk episode 5. What did you think of the episode as well as my review? Let me know down in the comments below. Also leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ. This can be it. Have a great day, guys.